Trump's biggest failure in his presidency, right? I know I promised you guys I would not talk about DT 45 anymore, but I watched this very interesting piece on Vice News. I just discovered the YouTube channel. I remember reading some stuff from their creators, content creators that work for Vice. Great stuff. But I just discovered they have a lot of cool videos on YouTube. And recently they had this expose on Trump, what's happening in that part of America where the border wall kind of never got completed, right? And what's the after effects of this, right? It's very unpolitical, and I recommend, if this is something you're interested in, watch the Vice video. It's unpolitical. They just go on to interview normal people that live on either side of the border, where this wall is sort of there, but then it's some sections are unfinished. The landscape is just devastated, what they've done. The way Trump or his administration went about doing this border wall, rushing it. And when it got worse, when Biden was elected president in November, they just tried to rush it even more and just made a bigger mess of things. And a lot of the people that they interviewed were not political at all. A lot of the people supported Trump, but they thought it was a stupid idea. The whole thing was stupid. They support Trump. They even support a border wall, right? But they felt it was a waste of American taxpayers' money. Mexico never paid for shit, right? And that's where Trump failed, right? He sold Americans, voters, and again, Republican voters, you guys get the short end of the sizzle every time, right? I feel for you guys. You vote for these idiots. They promise you big dreams and big this and big that, and you end up paying for it. Well, we end up paying for it too, right? Right? More so you than me, because I'm still doing all right. Border wall, no border wall. But what hurts my heart, right, is the environmental devastation that left in the desert, in Arizona, in parts of Texas, New Mexico, right? That affects not just Americans, but people in Mexico as well, right? In 2000, I did an expedition, right? The Millennium New Year. I was in El Paso, Texas. I did a stretch of the Rio Grande River in Big Bend National Park, right? It's something I was involved in. It was like a scholarship thing. I went down there. I spent, Jesus Christ, the entire January down there doing this canoe expedition down the Rio Grande River, right? And it's beautiful down there, right? Growing up in a city, deserts, your idea of a desert, oh, it's nothing there. It's just cactus and sand. It's not the case. So many things to see, so much animals, so much fauna. And the silly thing about it, my prejudices about the area is like it'll be a desert and the river will be like this big Rio Grande River. The river was like about knee deep the whole way, right? We canoed it for like 2 weeks straight. On the river, we ate on the river, we cooked on the river, we did everything off the river. And the whole way, hundreds of miles, the thing was like just knee deep, right? There was no rough, deep stretches of it that I could remember, right? If I can, I'll put some pictures up here. But check my Facebook out, Olaf2046. Pictures on my Facebook if you guys are interested in seeing my pictures from that expedition. That was 20 years ago. I was like 19 or something like that. It was a fun trip for me to do as someone in that of that age, right? Learned a lot, right? Part of that trip was part of our paying back to the scholarship was doing volunteer work for a solid week in Mexico. The last week we were there, we went on to Ojinaga, and me and some co-workers or other students build an orphanage. We painted, we did a soccer field, we got chairs, and we had someone that was into carpentry, and they made these chairs for school for these kids in the orphanage, right? Because in that town, the kids went to school in the orphanage, everything was done in the orphanage, you know. So we took care of those kids, we met the kids, very sad, a lot of them at that time was victims. The drug cartel thing wasn't that big, but they were victims of that kind of scene down there, and we worked with them. And one thing I realized about when you go across that border and work with people, right? Forget what Donald Trump told you about Mexicans being rapists and killers and looters. They come in to take your land and rape your wife and kill your kids, right? When you go over to Mexico and you look at those kids and you look at the people of that orphanage, right? And you look at the people in town that's working every day. the Olaf Johnsons down there, the you down there that's working, trying to make a better life for their kids. They're human fucking beings, right? They're humans, right? They're not coming to kill you or take anything from you, right? So when the border wall went up, and Trump, I knew he was lying. Mexico literally said, we're not going to pay for shit. You can't literally, legally make another country pay for something that you want, right? Right? A high school degree, right, will tell you that, right? But a lot of Trump supporters believe Mexico's going to pay for this wall to keep rapists and criminals out, right? 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 So they went down there, Vice News, and they interviewed a lot of people down there, and people were against the border wall. They voted for Trump twice, but they felt the border wall was a failure for Trump because one, it's incomplete. One, it's left a mess down there. Unbeknownst to almost everyone, I didn't know this. The border was actually started in 1990 by the first George Bush presidency and was left the same way, abandoned the same way, and no one remembered it for decades, right? Until Trump came along, and I'm sure he didn't know it was there either, but they just continued building from where George Bush in 1990 left off. Failed attempt to criminalize illegal immigrants, to put them in a box like they do with people of color in America, right? I'm a black family, I want better for my kids. No, Olaf, you want to live around white people. You want to buy cars and Ferraris with your money, right? You don't want to help out all the black people or live with all the black people, right? Put us in a box, right? So we put Mexicans, immigrants in a box. Half of those immigrants coming into the country are not even from Mexico, right? If you've been to freaking Mexico, they live pretty good, right? It's not a shitty country, Mexico, right? For a good portion of the population, right? Or rather, I should say, it's not more shitty than people here that we treat, right? We treat people shitty in America. People get treated shitty in Mexico too, but a good portion of that population are professional families working and living in nice places, right? Right? Go down there. Don't go to Cancun or the resorts, but go into Mexico City, right? As shitty as it is, as you may think it is, it's also very nice, right? The immigrants are usually coming through Mexico from Central America, from South America, right? Where it's not Joe Biden calling them. Joe Biden doesn't have a dog whistle or immigration whistle that he's blowing to let immigrants come, right? They're coming here because they want better for themselves, right? My grandparents came to this country as immigrants, right? They didn't come to rape, loot, kill, steal from white people, right? They came with money in their pockets. They came off a Boeing 747, right? With luggage, right? They took a taxi somewhere. My granddad bought property here in the first couple of years he was here. Bought 2 properties, right? In New York City, right? He was a business owner, a Republican by the way. I don't say that a lot. My granddad, my paternal granddad was a big Republican, right? Ronald Reagan Republican. That era, not the new Republican era, right? He didn't wear a hat to represent what he believed in, right? He voted and he worked hard for what he believed in. He didn't put a hat on and did nonsense and put on Facebook every other day, right? Him being great didn't mean all the people were bad or all the people were libtards or woke or whatever, right? Him being great was him being great, had nothing to do with anyone else, right? Right? Him voting for Republican politicians had all to do with what he wanted for his family. For me, I benefited from it, right? I had a good life, good education, good upbringing, right? All because of the beliefs my grandfather had, right? As an immigrant coming to America, right? He didn't come to kill anyone, to rape anyone, right? And I wish, my only regret is, to this day, is to ask him why he came to America. Of all the places he could have went with the money my grandfather had, he decided to come to New York. I don't know why. And I to this day, it's the one thing when you say, what would you want to ask your grandparents, passed away, is why did you come to America, right? And I would ask him because I know we have other families from my paternal grandfather, his brothers and sisters, went to Canada, Europe, right? Other parts of the world. And I always have a feeling when I talk to those cousins and encounter those family members, they're very happy where they are. They would never come to New York and never come to America, especially now, right? So I would ask my grandfather. I know he's Republican. Maybe he came here for principles of what this country was built on. But why did you come to America, right? That's one thing I would ask my grandfather. Right? So back to the wall. A lot of the people actually live around this border wall, right? What they actually wanted from President Trump. They wanted some sort of wall, something there, right? It didn't have to be a physical wall, one rancher said, right? He said all they had to do was create policies and legislation to have these jobs available for Americans so immigrants wouldn't have to come here to find stuff to do, right? It could be raising the minimum wage. And the jobs that Americans don't want, raise it up, right? Have a federal plan to raise up the minimum wage, or living wage is what they call it now. So, Johnny from Arizona don't want to go work at a car wash or go mow a lawn or work at Burger King because he doesn't want to make $6 an hour, right? Make it $16 an hour, $20 an hour, and have Americans fill those positions, right? Might work, might not. But the rancher fellow is cheaper than building an ugly ass wall, cutting through the bottom end of his property, and it's not doing shit, right? He said you build a 30-foot wall, they'll build a 31-foot ladder, right? Build a 50-foot wall, they build a 51-foot ladder, right? That's what the border wall is to these people, and they're paying for it, right? It doesn't affect, I'm in New York, it doesn't affect me, right? A mile down the road from me in Yonkers, right? Central Yonkers, we have tons of immigrants from Ecuador, Colombia, Central America, Salvador, right? They're all nice to me. They're all good people, right? Yes, you have criminals. Yes, you have criminal activities, right? No more so than American citizens and American-born citizens in this country, right? Right? My kids, I take them down to the playground. They play with kids from immigrant families all the time. Am I scared for my life? Are they coming to rob me or kill me or rape my wife? No. Don't feel that at all because I live with those people, right? I could say they are good people, right? I could say that on this channel, on CNN, on Fox News. I could go on TV and say they are good people, right? They're not all what Donald Trump told you they were, right? Mexico didn't pay for anything. We all did out of our tax money, right? Put your hands in your pocket right now and pull money out. That's what paid for that stupid ass wall that no one wants now. Even the construction workers, they interviewed one of them. He literally couldn't go on camera. Apparently they can't talk to the media at all, which is very weird. The only thing he complained about, he likes to finish projects. All construction workers, when they start a project, they want to finish a project, right? Regardless whatever the project is, politics or not. And he feels the only sad thing about it, they knew it was going to come, right? No one working on that wall 4 years ago, 3 years ago, they knew Trump wasn't going to be president for the rest of their lives. They knew they weren't going to be building the wall for beyond 8 years, right? They knew this, right? So they said it's just for them, it's just moving from job to job. But the one regret is the mess they left behind and nothing was accomplished, right? It's like starting the dishes or I'm cooking something and I just leave it and walk away and it's just left there to rot. And that's how they feel. Like they feel like the work is undone, but it's pointless from the get-go, right? And I'll end this video. I'll end this video here. Towards the end of the very video, they have this Mexican lady. She has pictures on a wall of tons of people, born on both sides of the borders that are all related somehow. And she said the wall has cost them money because her family, her friends, her neighbors all make money from there not being a wall and having able to go and work with other people on both sides of the borders, right? It's some sort of mini whatever she does, right? But it's hurting her economically, right? And hurting her peers on the other side of the border and the U.S. side of the border economically, right? And she said the world is too small in 2021 to solve problems with a fence, right? Think about that. The world is a small place. And this little old lady, right, said the world has become a small enough place that you can't solve problems with a fence. Think about that. The world has become a small enough place, right, that you cannot solve problems today with offense.